Welcome back. This episode of, I guess we can call it slight remembrance, so that you can remember for yourself, is going to be about the human body and the emotions, and partly what life forms consume those emotions. In order to move forward with the Archons and Aeons and life and death in general, we have to comprehend that that the human is also a food supply, and it's not a basic kind of just a thing you think about, or some woo-woo thing, or some kind of it's just metaphysical. No, it's an actual science. It can be measured. There is research done to prove this. The human body is a machine. And before you continue on this video, I would like for you to watch 2 videos and then come back to this when you can. The 2 videos are by Dr. Jerry Tennant on the Thunderbolts Project website or channel. And it is the 2 most recent videos: Healing the Body's Electric Circuitry, the Electricity of Life, and Recharge Your Battery and Heal. When you watch those, make certain you have some notes and you come back, or at least have a pen and paper and write down some things that seem important to you. And then come back to this, okay? Now I'm going to assume you went and came back. I probably made an ass out of myself in assuming. But let's hope you're actually here to learn and remember and to comprehend life better. So if you really are interested in this, really go pause this and go watch those videos. If you don't have the time to do so now, do it later. But this video you're watching now, the one I'm making, will make a lot more sense to you if you watch those other 2 videos. So moving on from this, and my computer speakers are currently sending out a Morse code signal because there's something going on in my PC. So when we don't have audio. So I'm going to do my best to show you and teach you and remind you with just visuals and my voice. So this morning, or last evening to this morning, as I slept, I had a very interesting dream. Before I slept, throughout the entire day yesterday, I asked divinity itself, the being people refer to as Father God. I stood around because let me start over actually. Recently, I have been on a massive search for why a certain person in biblical records is called the bright and shining morning star, but also the shadow version of that being is called the same thing. And there are some records of Magdalene and Sophia being called the same title, bright and shining morning star. Excuse the scratching, it is Lily. So yesterday I asked Father God and the originator, source, the guides, and all the realms and beings of the pleroma, that if there is an actual Father God, to give me some form of a sign. A clear-cut, crystal, diamond clear, no doubt about it, that this being exists in its positive spectrum, okay? Lily. Thank you. Whenever I make these videos, she just goes completely nutso. So the dream I had was real quickly, basically, about me communicating with whom I thought was my father and my mother, but it wasn't them. It was just their image. And throughout this entire dream, my emotions within the dream were being built up and built up and built up towards a massive amount of pressure in between my neck area and the the point under your rib cage where it intersects up to connect. So if you can follow your rib cage all the way down until your rib cage stops and goes to the left and to the right, that center point all the way to the point under your chin, that entire area was being amplified in this massive amount of emotional blockage. The more I felt, the more the energy welled up to where I couldn't release or feel or express any of it. And throughout this dream, I was being manipulated and harmed and chased and loved and broken my heart and denied movement forward, given movement forward in another direction, taken from one timeline, dropped into another timeline, watched people I care about in that timeline completely evaporate, brought me back to the original timeline again with the entire memory of all the other timelines to instigate massive amounts of pain that didn't go anywhere other than this charged up static field around that area of my chest and neck. And within the dream, I became lucid and I couldn't contain any of this feeling anymore. It was like my body was breaking apart. And I looked up in the dream and I saw the entire sky, the heavens themselves and all the stars. And then my dad stood in front of me, my biological father, but it wasn't him. And in the dream, I knew it wasn't him because it didn't feel like him. It felt like ice cold, no emotions, nothing. Like a doctor standing over your bed and just looking at you as if they're analyzing what you are and if you're ready or not. Or if you're looking at a cake to see if the cake is ready in the oven. Well, I spoke to this person, this being pretending to be my father in this dream state. And I was telling him everything that was going on and how I couldn't move forward and I couldn't, do all these things and I couldn't express myself. And the entire time, he was sitting there reading a book. And the book was called The Book of Life. And I thought to myself in the dream, as I'm feeling all this emotion and thinking all this and expressing to him, why aren't you doing anything to help me? And then he closed the book, sat up, looked at me, reached out this hand to the side of him and warped his hand through space, pulled some cable, some kind of a claw cable, like a tendril, and shot it directly at that area where I was completely full of this emotional charge. And he drained it all out of me to the point where as he was draining it out of me, I was being broken down into tears through the dream to where when my actual body in the bed was weeping tears onto the pillow and the wetness from the pillow woke me up. And I have been exhausted and emotionally drained all day today. So that wasn't Father God, and that wasn't my father. That was an entity, obviously. And as this being was draining in this dream, I was seeing the image behind, I was seeing the being behind the image that looked like my father. And I realized at that point that what people think is a loving deity, or what people think is a negative deity, is the same deity or one of a pantheon of beings and entities that feed off of the devotion or the fear or the love or the whatever that we produce. Archons, right? Yeah, well, there's other life forms that also consume energy. They also transmute it and transform it. Now, these links are here for you to look because it is far too much information for me to give you. Okay, so simply type in study.com, energy and life, transformation of energy in living organisms. There is a PDF at aloya.com for archonic agenda and parasitic dreaming. Suspicious Observers is a purely scientific site with massive amounts of wonderful information regarding the solar system and the planet. But if you look at this entire thing through an aeonic archonic spectrum of something happening within our solar system, instigated or caused by the energetic interaction between entity and life forms and so on, all of this makes more sense. Instead of just planetary disturbances or solar disturbances, it's an actual, you see the dance of life between each other. And when you click this and you watch these two videos, you will comprehend that your emotional body, your body itself, is a battery. You store emotions within your body. Your body gets sick due to lack of electrical charge, due to your body having released too many emotions or charged itself up with negative emotions. When a certain part of your body is aching, it is receiving a negative polarity, to where the parts of your body that are fine have a positive polarity, which brings the art of pendulum healing, Reiki energy, acupuncture, meridians, massages, hands-on healing, like, not just Reiki, but actually doing Reiki with healing and touching it, moving the energy in the body and the muscles all together. Sound healing, oils, and walking, grounding, like barefoot, touching trees, sun gazing. Your body is designed to refuel itself. And alkaline water, okay? All of this information here is for you to comprehend this. Because there are also electric life forms that live on pure energy that you are constantly feeding through computer screens and your machinery. There is also electric bacteria that eat electrons rather than sugar. You are quite literally a buffet for life. And the more you consume negative emotions, the more you are sustaining these other life forms. And in order, once the connection, the dark tendril is made from these other beings to you, the delivery line, basically, it's called a cord. Which is why it's so difficult when you are cutting cords and ties with human beings, because the human being is innocent in this. It has been sabotaged from external and internal forces due to lack of knowledge of what you actually are. So these beings that see what you are, kind of like you looking at a fish tank, you see the fish in the water. These beings see the humans in the pool of electricity, electromagnetism, radiation, wavelength spectrums, and everything else. And they can feed off of you easily. But they can only do it if you are containing a negative electrical charge. You become visible to them in that way. When you are containing a positive charge, the energy that you emit is continuously restructurizing your body. So even if they consume you, the act of consuming your energy transmutes their function to where they start feeding off positive energy, and their entire system alchemically transmutes to a positive polarity. So you literally take the dark, feed it light, and it becomes light. You take the light and instigate negative emotions, which is free, and through free will, the light chooses to dim because life just gets too difficult. You start feeling one negative emotion, the negative emotion amplifies and multiplies. Kind of like you have a bad day and somebody says hi to you and you're like, not having it. It's nothing other than your emotional state of being exhausted through being drained. which is also how narcissists are formed. Narcissists, in the grand scheme of life, are innocent. They've simply been damaged so much over time that their body has gone to a negative polarity in the heart center, which has basically become a buffet for a massive amount of entities. It's basically kind of like seeing somebody covered in leeches, but they don't see that they're covered in leeches. They feel that they're covered in leeches, and they're constantly irritated and afraid and grossed out, and they're uncomfortable, but they don't know why. So they shut off their sensory abilities, like a machine going through a power saver mode. The narcissist shuts off the emotional capacity to feel positive emotions, because the more positive emotions they feel while they have negative attachments to these entities, the negative entities feed off the positive emotions. And it's a endless cycle. So when one leech gets positive energy and it transmutes itself and goes off into a, quote unquote butterfly version of itself, another one comes to take its place because the core issue hasn't been solved. Sorry for the pause. I'm drinking coffee. It has been a lovely day. Okay. And I have not written any of this down. I have not taken any notes. This is purely intuitive gnosis and channeling for you, okay? And everything I've learned throughout my life about this. And let's see. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, as you'll notice when you watch these videos, or if you have, that illnesses occur through the reverse polarity of each chakra or energy system, or the meridian stream, kind of like electrical wiring in a house when you blow a fuse, which occurs greatly if you have root canals. Now, what I'm telling you isn't diminishing anything in these videos. These videos are priceless for you, okay? I could go on for 10 hours just on the information from these two videos, and I wouldn't even be at 1% of the knowledge within them. And root canals basically cover and distort and dampen the electrical wiring within your system, because it puts a piece of death within your mouth, but your body is still covering and creating bacteria in that area. And then we have this. Biologists discover electric bacteria that eat pure electrons. Well, other bacteria also exist that eat the negative things in your body, the viruses, the muck, the infections, the dirt, all that nastiness, okay? Archons are similar to that, but they're also duality itself, which means they can also be as benevolent as you would think any deity would be to you. Because in order to have a proper buffet of different emotions to feed off of, you have lemonade, you have cherry soda, you have Dr. Pepper, you have, ginger ale, you have tea, you have coffee, you have water, a wide variety of food, Chinese food, Italian food, Mexican food, American food, all over the world, right? That's what you are to these archons. That's what emotions are. So if you're feeling happy all the time, it's boring to them. It's like a cat eating kibble. It doesn't want to eat it all the time. And if you give a cat canned food all the time, eventually all it starts doing is licking the juice out of the can because it wants variation. Just like a human, you give potato chips to a human for a week straight, they're probably not going to be that healthy. Because archons aren't your enemies. They're just another life form attempting to survive. So what they do is manipulate the human, which is a cosmic machine, basically, designed to contain God force. And there are beings that feed off of this. So in order to feed them, you have to have a variety of different emotions. So there are some pious, devoted, massive saintly people. Where's all that energy going? You being a fractal, a fragment, a beam of light from the originator, you must function at neutral. Because if you don't, the emotions that you feel positively also drain you, which is what you find out in these videos. So these beings trigger positive emotions, which end up narcissistically, vampirically draining you just as much as negative emotions do. Except positive emotions feel good when you're being drained. Negative emotions feel bad when you're being drained. So a super intelligent entity that doesn't function on emotions, because emotions are energy. Energy in motion is a emotion. Humans thrive on emotions, and they think and feel that those emotions make up who they are. The lack of such emotions creates evil. The inclusion of such emotions creates truly a victim. Because if you don't comprehend that your emotions are the energy you're supposed to use to manifest your existence, then you think that your emotions are who you are. So then you get lost in your emotions, and then you develop different sorts of mental illnesses or different forms of habits and addictions and codependencies, different forms of weaknesses, illnesses, viruses, and so on and so forth. All of which have a specific life form to feed off of those things. Just like there's a plant for every single ailment the human being can and has dealt with, there is also a life form that feeds off of every single emotional wavelength the human body feels. You as source energy within the human body, experiencing life as a human, you're experiencing life as a vessel of source energy that is also feeding and fueling all of life itself. The human is basically the caretaker, the garden keeper, the librarian, the sun, the light, the moon, the earth. You're everything to life itself. Your choices and your actions decide which wavelength you go to. Kind of like a game or a book or a game where you're going, if you make this decision, go to page blah blah. If you make that decision, go to page yada yada. If you don't want to make a decision, move forward and go to wherever the story continues without you making a decision. And every time you make a decision, you basically jump a timeline. And mechanically, machinically, technologically, a timeline is simply a meridian where your energy is being directed through. So if you're feeling a negative emotion, your timeline is on a meridian channel or energy stream through your body that is not functioning properly. So you're on that timeline to create a proper functioning meridian line of energy. So the light within you can go from all of your chakras and energy systems throughout your body and go back down, kind of like the Tao or the Tao or all the different energy systems throughout the entire history of life. When you're on a positive timeline, you are experiencing life throughout your body where the energy flows freely. Now, people who are experiencing breakups, you're in a timeline where the meridians in your body are fractured. It doesn't mean that the breakup with the person you're with is permanent or that it happened because you two hate each other or whatever. It means that your life is a fractal representation of what is happening within your body. So I don't know if I should even use personal examples or if I should use metaphors, because you need to I'm hoping that you will comprehend what I'm expressing to you, but the human body only comprehends things properly through the emulation of experience and empathic vibrations sensed through what it is reading, seeing, sensing, hearing, smelling, tasting, knowing. So if I share a story with you that isn't true, or that is made up, or that is just a story to give you an analogy, you are intelligent enough to comprehend that, and the story won't mean as much to you. Lily's about to jump. Excuse her, please. Go ahead, Lil. Thank you. The computer is right by the window. The cord is the little light bulb. And this is the computer. And to the, oh sheesh, to the right, I guess this is the right for you, right? Or maybe it's the left for you. I don't know how this comes out in the video. I've only watched one video I've ever made, and it was an edited video. Love letter to Source, just to see if I was going to edit the proper way. Anyway. Oh, where was I? Thanks, Lily. Anyway. Well, we're just going to continue. So through this dream, realizing that all these emotions I felt of asking for help, of wanting to be supported, of needing tender loving care, of wanting to share the truth of what was happening with the figure that was representing itself as my mother in the dream. The mother in the dream was completely instigating all of the situations in my life, the negative and positive. And when I was watching this, when I was explaining this to the father figure in my dream, I was seeing my life through its eyes as it was reading the book of life. And I saw that throughout my life, this figure that was pretending to be a mother figure, only in the dream state. In the real life, I have no idea who this person is. It's just an energy stream. But this mother figure was going around instigating my life, the breakups, the fights, the moments of hunger, the moments of sadness, this female aspect of this entity, or maybe it's friend, partner, who knows how they function up there. It was instigating the emotional things out of me, while this other thing was draining those emotional things. And then Lily's coming back again. Lily, there's like 50 windows in this apartment. Oh, jeez. So this female one was taking all the, instigating the emotions, while the male one was draining the emotions. And when I stood there in front of both of them, explaining this to them, saying, why are you doing this, not only to me, but to the entire human race? All they were saying and doing is nothing. It was as if they felt nothing. And through the act of them feeling nothing, through the knowing that they're feeling nothing, because they don't hate, they don't feel emotions. It's like me telling you, can you feel Chinese food? Can you feel pad thai? Can you feel like you are completely head to toe what it feels like to be ice cream? That's what it's like to them. You feeling fear, you feeling pain, you feeling sorrow or longing or, hatred because of a thing that happened in a relationship, or feeling like your parents didn't love you, whatever. It's all neutral to them, which is very disturbing to humans who function on emotions. How can a being that is pretending to be a deity, or a life form that is on such a galactic solar system level that feeds off the radiation and electricity and weird electric bacteria and wavelengths of light? Lily, there are 50 things for you to scratch on other than the couch. Look, I'm not even kidding. Just look, okay? Lily, you've been caught. What are you going to do about it? Your pupils are more dilated than somebody on drugs. What are you doing? And she does this all day long, going sideways on this, back and forth. I love that cat. I really do. But even love is just an emotion that is fuel to some entity or not, or other. These beings showed me, they showed me something today. There is no enemy. They are simply eating. That's all they're doing. We're food. And we have the choice and the option to not be food anymore. But in order to not be food, we must look the predator in the eye, like I did in this dream. That wasn't my father. That wasn't his eyes. That wasn't his feeling, his energy, his vibration. It wasn't him. It was something massively, globally, cosmically, universally neutral. There was no emotional charge to this being. Nothing. I don't know how to explain this to you to really have you comprehend this. There was no emotion whatsoever. There was no energy. There was nothing. It was pure neutral. Standing before this entity felt like standing before the abyss, before nothingness and everything, and having it be completely neutral, as if an apple was sitting right in front of me and I was completely full and I didn't have any interest in eating an apple, and I knew it's an apple. I knew it contains knowledge and wisdom and magic and life and electricity and everything else, but I felt nothing for it. I was completely neutral to this existence of this apple. That's how this being felt towards me. It was completely neutral to my existence. It felt nothing whether I survived or died, or how much pain I went through, how much I've been longing for closure for some certain aspects of my life, how much I've been manifesting and desiring other aspects of my life to come into fruition. It meant nothing to it. Throughout the course of this dream, I was communicating with different angelic beings, different elemental beings, and different species and life forms. It was like I wasn't dreaming and I was somewhere else. And all of them had a different energetic imprint. And what all of them told me through this imprint was that everything feeds off each other within a spiral of life. And the human has been at the bottom of the pool of life because it constantly thinks that it is based on that what it feels is who it is, that the hatred it feels is who it is, that the love it feels makes it who it is. Love is an energy within the fabric of creation itself that weaves that fabric. It's like some creature feeding off of gravity, but the gravity is what the earth thinks is love. So the earth loves all of life, and we perceive that love as gravity because it holds us to it. Well, some other being feeds off that gravity, and it's nothing but food to it because it doesn't comprehend how a creature can function off of emotions. How can you function off of love? How can you function off of hate? It's just food, right? How can you just function off of rice? How can you function just off of soup? You can't. You need a wide variety. How can you store just one energy system in your body? How can you just store? Would you survive as a human if all you ever felt was neutral? No. Would you survive as a human if all you ever felt was complete love for everyone, except in one aspect of your life, there's hatred for someone. That hatred within you turns into cancer. If you have a desire to forget someone, you are triggering a cancerous cell within your brain to trigger dementia and Alzheimer's, to wipe that memory out. And because it is a energy system that you are residing in, wanting to cut cords to eliminate a aspect of you or what you've experienced is like taking that lightning bolt and denying it access to where it's going. It will simply destroy everywhere else that it's going, because it's too much energy going into a part of life that is blocked off. And that's how you get energetic blocks, which cause disease. To these beings, you mean nothing. Now, is there a father God, mother God that unconditionally loves you and would, no matter what you do, it forgives you and adores you and it calls you to heaven and earth and everything else? Yes, it's you. You're the one doing that. Because gods outside of human bodies don't have emotions. You don't have emotions out there. You don't have the body to channel that emotion through you, through your nervous system and through your functioning meridians and your heart and your brain to process what love or hate or fear is. It's like the wind blowing. The wind feeds the plants with the air and oxygen and brings pollen from one place to another, and we breathe the air to survive. What if the air is actually a feeling of happiness or joy for the earth, and we're draining that out of the earth? Do we have any regard for what we're doing? Do we have any regard for what it feels like to pee in water? That water is conscious, but we have no problem peeing and pooping in it. That's how Archons feel. That's why the human is 50% Archon, 50% Aeon, the light and the dark. That's why they say Source is neutral, because Source has no emotions. It doesn't love you unconditionally. It can't. The Almighty Father doesn't love you unconditionally. Please forgive me for even saying something so blasphemous. But it cannot love you. It doesn't have a human body to love you. It sends you the love energy stream to pull the love from you, like putting sugar and salt in dough to make the dough rise so you can bake something. Do you know what I mean? Like putting fertilizer in the soil to get the plant to eat the soil. It gives you what it wants to get out of you. It matches your frequency in order to feed off of you. You are the one who supplies these entities and beings and thought forms with the emotional charge you intend on them having. So if you think that Father God or Mother God or the Gaia Sophia or any of these beings love you, it's because you love you that much. And you are imprinting that love onto their energy stream, because eventually, from feeding them enough, they will flush out the negative aspects of themselves into a positive polarity. On one of the Law of Attraction coaching channels, there's a person named Robert Zink who mentioned something, and I found it very, very fascinating. If you have a dirty cup, and this cup is filled with muck, you pour clear, pure, neutral water within this cup over and over and over and over, eventually, regardless of how long it takes, that cup will be pristinely clean and clear and neutral, just like the water being poured into it. It's going to take a while, but it will work. So no matter what disease you're facing, no matter what pain you're in, no matter how much you hate someone or you love someone, if you create a neutral ground within yourself, you become invisible to the parasites. You become immune to disease. Your immune system builds back up through light, sound, and vibration and frequencies around you to where your machine, your body, is able to consume those other energies, to create that energetic charge within you and send it out to manifest things. Magic, right? Kinda. But in order to do these things, you must stop thinking of yourself as less than the gods you worship. Those gods we worship, we created them. They've also been in existence in multiple different ways to where they are fractals of who we are as individuals. It's very complex and very simple. If you look at your body as if you're the only one in existence, there are viruses and bacteria in your body, and there are also beneficial bacteria and beneficial agents within you that contribute to your health, like white blood cells, and then there's viruses. There's bacteria, and then there's good bacteria. You're a vessel of duality. So if you're feeding your body negative emotions all the time, even towards one person, what you're doing is giving tacit consent without really consenting. You're just kind of saying, yeah, whatever, to these entities to feed off that energy stream. Just like when the earth is going through a vortex part or a storm, there is energy that you don't see that is churning that storm. Sorry, the video decides to cut off again. Thank you, Archonic Technology. Most tornadoes and elemental disturbances on the planet are due to the planet doing what you do. So if there is a massive wind disturbance, a storm of some kind, the earth is literally clearing the air. If there is a massive flood, it is an overwhelming sense of emotional thing from the planet itself. Because we have fed the planet and we have drained the planet, so it has become more humanized. We're basically the reason why benevolence and malevolence exists. The human is the reason why. Everything else is just eating to survive. Now, do Archons have families and family units and, the whole mother, father, son, daughter, children, grandchildren thing? Yes, they actually do. Do Aeons have this? Yes, they actually do. Do they function in the human way that we think? No, they don't. Do archangels and the Fae, the Sid, or the She, S-I-D-H-E, it's spelled Sid, like S-I-D-H-E, but it's pronounced She. And the elementals, the devas, the gnomes, salamanders, dragons, whatever else, okay? All the life forms you've ever known about and the ones you don't know about. They all have a functioning way of existing that is similar to the human system because it's all a fractal. But they don't feel emotions. Emotions are the gift and the curse of the human. Pretend that God and the masculine, the duality within you, is playing chess with itself, okay? The chess pieces are the humans. The black and white is the checkerboard, obviously, good or bad. But again, good or bad is only in your perception. Who's to say the darkness is the enemy and the light is the good? The light is the thing that eradicates the dark. Doesn't that make the light genocidal? And the dark dims away immediately at the presence of the light. Doesn't it mean that the dark is afraid of the light? And it's trying to survive? It's a very dualistic way of looking at things, which means the amount you judge and the amount you feel for these things in your life and these situations creates a negative or positive charge within you. The negative charges within you create disease and illness. Not because you're being punished or because you're punishing yourself, but because that's how it functions. If I go on this computer and I constantly go on every website that could have a virus, I will have a virus on this computer. And Lily's coming. I apologize. If I'm constantly going to websites that put cookies and viruses and Trojans and everything else, I'm not doing it to hurt the computer, and the computer isn't doing it to hurt me, because in turn I'll have to replace or run an antivirus or do something. It's just what happens. It's your emotion that gives it meaning. And your emotions are there to give meaning to things that you actually want in your life. So if there's an aspect of your life, and this is really important right now, okay? If there is a person, place, or thing within your life that when you think about and you feel a negative charge in regards to it, then you are being asked to go neutral, completely neutral. So if me and a person I was with 20 years ago that, I have negative emotions towards, if I sit here and feel neutral towards this person, they and the entity attached to them are not able to feed off of my negative emotions towards that person, and the entity will try harder to make me feel negative emotions towards that person because it's needing to eat. It's like somebody wanting to decapitate a chicken and eat it for dinner, and the chicken starts running away. You're going to do everything you can to forcefully grab that chicken and bring it back to consume it. Because you're hungry, that chicken's life means nothing to you. It's just food running away. That's what you are to the entities and the archons and the bacteria and the viruses and the life forms of everything around you. So in order to create positive charge, so let's say you feel negative about a person that you were in a relationship with, or a job, or a place. Let's use relationships easier, because what I felt was around the heart and throat, communication and love. So if I'm going to that person that I have this negative charge with, which is creating a lack of charge within my throat to communicate and my heart to express properly what I feel, because there's something feeding off of it. If I go neutral, that thing doesn't have that emotion to feed from, and it doesn't have the positive thing to feed from. So the thing fades away or makes a greater attempt to feed off of me by instigating something else, such as the Department of Motor Vehicles. You go there, you're like, I'm going to get my license, do my thing, and then every single thing happens to constantly irritate you more and more and more. And throughout that process, you're actually feeding an energy stream, a being, an archon, and multiple thought forms attached to each and every single person at the DMV. It's just like a battery harvesting place, really. So you have a breakup. The person you broke up with was, the relationship you had was either traumatic or beautiful, and there's love, blah, blah, right? Well, you feel negative, you're feeding something negative energy. You feel positive, you feed it positive. You feel neutral, you're kind of safe, but then you're actually instigating the entity to show itself. So what do? You go to neutral, you bring the person either mentally, physically, however you want, visually in front of you that you have this negative charge with. Because the longer you contain that negative charge of feeling towards someone, so if you're hating somebody or you're spiteful, what you're doing is no significance to that person that you're feeling that hatred for. What you're actually doing is sending them negative energy, which is getting their entity to feed off of you and your entity to feed off of you. The person that you feel hatred towards kind of gets freed from the entity, because your hatred is more energizing to the entity than that person's neutrality, love, or longing. So feeling hate is just painting a target on yourself to be fed on. So what you do is you go neutral. The entity shows itself through sabotage in your life and instigation of different emotions. You may get memories, you may get different sorts of experiences in your life that completely trigger negativity within you. Because once you get to cutting off the entity from you, the entity makes a more obvious attempt to feed. And then once you continue to go neutral, it will constantly attempt to frighten you in some way to trigger that emotion from you. And it's easier to do when you have illnesses in your body, such as within the heart due to the emotions, or within the teeth due to root canals, which diminish your meridian system and the energy going through you, kind of like depowering yourself so that you're easier to feed off of. So you go neutral, you then, instead of creating a negative charge within yourself towards your ex or whatever, you create a positive charge for yourself towards your ex. Trust on this. You create a positive charge, an emotion towards the person you had a negative charge with. In doing so, you provide a different collective of entities food, which then triggers them to come to you as a food supply, also known as your support, your guides, your allies, your guardians, protectors, and so on. You go from the archonic one to the aeonic one. Then you go neutral again, because with the positive spectrum entities that feed off the positive energies you emit, they will very rarely resort to negative actions to trigger negative emotions within you, because their life force is reliant on positive polarity emotions, which means when you take your ex and you stop hating them and you start liking them, then what you're doing is calling in more energy of peace and harmony and love and kindness and gratitude, which then helps those beings get better and stronger and stronger. So in doing so, you tip the scales of good and evil within you. Basically, you switch the polarity of your heart chakra from negative and hateful to positive and loving, which then sends positive loving energy through your system, which pushes the electrical current through your meridians, which acupuncture will help with, by the way, to assist in healing the body and removing the negative energy, and then creating a massive positive charge within you, which then gives you access to all of your supernatural abilities, your psychic abilities, your ability to create and manifest easily and effortlessly. Life just flows, because the more your life flows easily and effortlessly, the more the positive forced beings get food. And then when the negative energies come in to try to instigate an emotion out of you, you are surrounded by a zoo of positive polarity entities, thought forms, guardian angels, beneficial dragons, tulpas, everything else you make for yourself. And going back to the Father God, right? So Father God, why did Father God go from all these terrible actions and, insanity and honestly just absurd behavior for an entity to the positive spectrum, to where it's just like, I love everyone and every life, and I'm just the best and most benevolent, demiurge or Father God or whatever? It's because the food supply changes. So change your food supply. There is no true evil and malevolence other than what the human being does and perceives as that. There isn't anywhere in existence. That is what I was shown today. The greatest evil any being has ever committed, from planetary destruction, to where if you're the Phoenix Force and you're just eating the planet and you're like, burp, that was tasty, is the Phoenix evil? No, it just was really hungry. But to the life on that planet, they were just destroyed, eradicated. Superman's planet, Krypton, was destroyed. He was full of rage and whatever. He gets near a red crystal, that rage comes out, and he destroys everything. Because your emotions are energy, and your system runs on energy. So if you give your system positive energy charges, your system cannot help itself but to give you a fantastic life. So if you think that Father God is there to help you and it's unconditionally loving and almighty and knows everything, everywhere, anytime, then that's what you're going to experience, because you are the creator of your own reality. If you're creating a reality where it's good versus evil, then that means the polarity between you and your energy systems within you are not at, 90% good, 10% bad, or 51-49. They're more like 50-50. Now, none of it is bad and none of it is good. Remember that. You must remain neutral. And in doing so, you see it all. Because when I went into this last night, and really just, I wanted to know, like, this entity that calls itself God, what are you? And it showed me. It's just a life form. It is a life form full of the capacity to love you and the capacity to utterly destroy you and make your life misery. But it's up to you how you are relating to this entity. That's why they say the only way out is through the Father and the Son. Well, the only way out kind of is that, because in order to get out of the matrix or anything like that, you must make peace with the Father and the Son. Which is why the Son is also known as the Lucifer, and the Lucifer is also known as the Son, and both of them are known as the mother and the mother's mate, and Father God is also known as the devil, because it depends on which meridian and timeline and system you're functioning on and needs healing. If you're experiencing life on the negative spectrum, then what you're being asked to do is reverse the polarity. If you're living life on the positive spectrum, what you're being asked to do is to provide that energy, to hold space for people, to assist them in that energetic imprint of positive spectrum. So if you're face to face with if you're at a community meeting of narcissists and empaths, 50-50 in each side, the empath will go in front of the narcissist will stand in front of the empath. Both will hold a hand out to each other like they're shaking hands, both without any intent to harm or feed the other one, simply to perform an energy transfer. One transferring the positive energy, the other one releasing the negative energy. You release the negative energy to the empath releases positive energy to the narcissist. The empath then releases the negative energy through its system, through EFT tapping or grounding or any form of spiritual work, and then recharges itself with positive energy through instigating and calling up positive emotions within it, because it has a massive store of positive emotions. But in order to do this, the narcissist must comprehend that it is only a narcissist due to lack of positive energy stores within the body. The heart chakra functions at a negative polarity instead of a positive polarity, which creates a narcissist. And in order for the heart chakra to create a negative polarity, it must be drained of the positive experiences and energy within it, which means the narcissist and the empath come together. The narcissist through the entity is being drained. The empath through the entity in the narcissist, The empath is being drained through the entity connected to the narcissist. In doing so, the narcissist gets full of the positive energy. The heart polarity triggers back to empathy, and the negative and the positive go to the entity, leaving the empath as the new narcissist, and so the chain continues. To eradicate this problem, the narcissist and the empath must come together in neutral ground, create a sense of peace between each other, in harmony and neutrality, to where the emotions being sent out are both positive and negative, creating a charged up transmutation field of both negative and positive consuming entities. In doing so, everything in some massive cosmic energetic dance balances itself out. But first, you must comprehend that evil, hatred, violence, love, kindness, and grace are your God, source, originator, human body given gifts. It's your power, it's your magic, it's your godhood. It's the lack of judgment. It is looking at an AC/DC energy stream going through your socket in the wall as just power. And once you can harness the power of the light and the dark, you walk the ground in between. The only evil that exists is the evil we create. And the evil we create creates more evil. So if you have someone in your life that you hate, comprehend that you don't hate them. You are merely full of negative energy due to an entity inciting negative energy in you to keep you a full battery. You have the choice. You always have had the choice, and you always will, to choose neutrality and to flush out your system of negative energies. Now, some of you might say, the venom can't be the medicine, but that's exactly what is the medicine. If you're bitten by a cobra and it venom poisons you, you need the venom of the cobra transmuted to its positive side to get rid of the venom and toxicity and poisoning within you. It's just how it works. The fire that burns you must be transmuted into the fire that heals you. The infection that is destroying you holds the key to the antivirus that cures you. The narcissist that abused you is the same one who is meant to heal you, because through them and that entity is what happened to cause the empath to go from light to dark, or the dark to light. The two pieces of the puzzle must come back together to emit that wavelength of neutral together, because there are some cords that cannot be cut, and those cords are the ones that occur from the narcissist and the empath due to the energetic cording of the entity that created both. So, if you have a coworker, relationship, mother, father, sister, grandparent, whatever, that you have a negative charge towards, it is time for you to bring peace, because that negative charge will exist from lifetime to lifetime, and you will call it karma, when all it is the effect to the cause of the entity. Now, it is not the entity's fault. You don't blame a snake for eating a mouse. It's just what it does. But while it's eating that mouse is terrified, and the entity attached to the mouse is feeding off that energy. And you, if you're a geneticist or a scientist and you're making experiments on mice, some people might feel bad because they're humans and they feel emotions. Others might feel nothing. They might feel neutral because they know that if they feel negative emotions, it'll dampen their ability to function. If they feel positive emotions, then they get too attached to the creature and then they can't function. So they stay at a neutral state and they perform their scientific studies perfectly for the betterment of all. So for all we know, the Aeons and the Archons are solar system gods and scientists, geneticists, attempting to figure out why the human system loses itself in such a way, or something. And what I was shown is you're choosing it. You simply choose through the lack of knowledge of what your human body is to be good or evil. And then you give meaning to good and evil. And if there's problems within your body, check your root canals. The teeth are the circuit breakers to the body. If a tooth goes bad, it is connected to multiple different organs within the body. From headaches to kidneys to reproductive organs to your pinky toe hurting. It's all connected to your teeth. Your teeth, your gut, and your heart. And the thyroid. So what I was feeling in this dream was my teeth, my thyroid, my heart. This triple point in between of expression, communication, and sensation, and unity, and all of that. It was all being neutralized to show me that during this neutral state, there is no pain, there is no good or evil. And then I was shown it all from the perspective of this entity that claims to be God or an Archon, or whatever we claim it is. And it showed me that the entire planet is literally being trained to be neutral. Because you cannot be allowed as a human vessel, as God within a human vessel, to leave this matrix without you managing to bring your entire system to a positive polarity. Could you just imagine what Storm from the X-Men or Jean Grey from the X-Men could do if they were completely taken over by the Phoenix Force? A complete neutral force of creation inhabiting a body that feels massive amounts of empathic pain and love. And then you give it the power of a god. You better hope that body's full of positive charge and has the willpower and the discipline and integrity to go back to neutral and stay there. Otherwise, it is a complete force of destruction. A complete chaos of creation to where nothing matters and everything just disintegrates and becomes nothingness. I think that's it for now. Because that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're going to make peace with the people in your life that you have quarrels with. And I hope the people in your life that you have massive amounts of love with, you find the balance within you. Because all the people in your life that you have a positive charge with have also been incited to have a greater positive charge by the same entities or other entities. So you don't really hate anybody and you don't really truly love anybody except the only few exceptions are those beings you can truly, deeply, madly, and consciously say that the love you feel for them, whether it is functioning on the negative polarity or positive polarity, but the specific sensation of love, not lust, not puppy love, none of that stuff, the actual energy stream of love, not the lack of love. Love is a very specific energy. It's not liking someone, it's not, adoring someone, it's love. Love is neutral, my dears. To love something is to let it go, to be itself, and then to function as two individual aspects of creation, loving each other, which means you desire the best and most benevolent outcome for that person's life, and they do the same for you, and in doing so you create a life of love. And the energy of love is pretty much the only source of energy in creation itself throughout all the timelines and existences. Love is the only thing that is basically the saline solution to every other emotion. No matter what you feel towards someone, from people that destroy planets and solar systems to someone who steps on a bug, to people who physically, emotionally, psychically, mentally hurt you, to ones that have constantly done nothing but cater to you and coddle you. The vibration of love is the transmutational force that assists you to become the God force human that you already are. It's basically life force. It's pretty much Kundalini. It's functioning as a undiluted energy stream. Because everything is love, and we dilute it to something else. Even hatred is love. Hatred is the polarity of the umbrella of love. So if love is the umbrella that all of creation is under, hatred is one of the lines that the umbrella has to where it creates the covering. Maybe the web would be easier. If a spider is weaving a web, the webs, the strands, aren't love. but everything it's doing to create it is being done with love energy. Love energy is what creates, heals, transmutes, and destroys depending on the human and its polarity within itself. Try this out for yourself. Call somebody that you have had massive amounts of trouble with. Sit there and meditate for a few minutes, focusing on your breath, and hold your hand on a part of your body that has aches and pains or an infection or a broken bone, whatever it is. Hold that part of your hand over that area, or pretending or visualizing you're sending it to the person, or actually hold the person in front of you and hug each other. And the only emotion you should feel is love, followed by gratitude, and then appreciation. All will be well after that. I truly guarantee this for you. Even if it's just for 2 seconds, constant sending of love energy through you not only heals your system, but it heals your energy field around you, and then in turn helps the ones interacting with you and the world at large. Try this. It's even easier, but it takes a while for it to be noticed. Think of a place in your life, in your real life, like a store or a park or somewhere that you could use a higher vibration. So let's say, like my example here has been that I've been doing this on is the dollar store. It's been kind of low vibe there. It's been very cluttered and messy, and the people just don't really care about their job. So what I do every few days, or every day really, is I visualize a dollar store as if it's a Christian Dior, Chanel, Gucci boutique. Truly. And when I'm going there, I pretend and visualize and imagine myself walking through the most rich and fancy neighborhood of pure luxury and opulence. And when I get there, there are doormen, there are gold and diamonds everywhere. Every snowflake is a pristine diamond, first of all, and every leaf is a piece of an emerald from heaven. The sky itself is massive amounts of sapphires. I visualize the best. And this dollar store, over the course of the last 4 months, has been getting so much better. The grocery store has been getting way more organic, non-GMO food. The employees have been becoming way more efficient and working better. It's almost as if they're starting to like their job. The last time I went there, they were actually, as I walked in, everybody was laughing and having fun, and they were organizing. Everyone was in a specific aisle, cleaning and, facing the shelves and organizing everything properly. I don't know if you know what facing means. It's when you take something like this and you organize everything line by line, row by row. You put order to the chaos. And they were doing all of that. Partly because I sit here as an individual energy stream, sending love energy to them, which in turn has been helping me get healthier. And in doing so, the world around me is getting better. Some of the neighbors here that I've been wanting to leave, I'm not going to share my blessings to them, but I've been internally asking for blessings from them and asking how I can help them, and calling that energy of their life bettering through me and sending it to them. And every time I shake hands or I see them and I wave, my hand is basically waving blessings to them. And it's working. Most of them are moving. Most of them have their life better in check. Some of them are they're getting healthier. So do this for yourself and those around you. But first, you must find the negative polarity within your life. If it's a lover, it's with your heart. If it's a place, person, or thing where you work, express, write, hobbies, it's probably around your throat. If it's someone you really think about a lot, it's your brain and your heart. If your feet are hurting, you don't want to move, if it's the left leg, it's the past. If it's the right leg, it's the future. If it's your groin, it's the creation of what you want to do with the past or the future. If it's your back, it's different layers of emotional, physical, and material support. If it's your mouth, it's obviously expression, communication, love. If it's your arms, your right arm is about giving love, your left arm is about receiving love. Your teeth, there is way too many potentialities within your teeth and where they connect. It's best that you look up the Chinese medicine and the meridian system to figure that out for yourself. So, guidance for you in this is communicate with the person you have a negative charge with. Transmute the negative charge to a positive charge, and then you will have more clarity on what to do. Because if there is a storm between you and the person you want to get to, you're not going to run through the storm. You're going to manifest the storm away from you and them. Because you can't see clearly when the person that you're hating is being attacked by your negative emotions and the entity you're attached to, which is in turn then damaging the person that you hate, which then makes you the psychic attacker and the energy vampire. You become a pawn and a puppet to the entity, and the entity never ever intends for you to be that way. It's just eating. You're just making its job of eating easier by giving it negative emotions. And if you feel neutral emotions 24/7, you are basically not functioning the way you're supposed to. Because you're supposed to have an equilibrium, a harmony, a balance of the scales, which means you're supposed to feel slight negative charge here and there, and slight positive charge here and there, unless you're in love. When you're in love, baby, let that love flow. But if you're in hate, or in spite, or in cruelty, you must immediately go back to neutral. And the person you've been sending all that energy to, you must make peace with them, because what you're doing is courting yourself to the person you hate to be bound to you throughout lifetime after lifetime until you remove the hatred between you two. And you can do that in this lifetime. You can do that now. In this very moment, you can pick up the phone, you can go to this person, you can communicate, you can meet for coffee, you can embrace, and you can neutralize the charge between you two, which is 1,000,000 times more effective than sitting there and cutting cords. Because no matter how many times you chop a tree down, it can still grow, the roots are still there. If you try to uproot it from the roots, fragments of the roots continue there, and after decades, the tree will continue to grow again. If you poison the tree and kill it completely, it will still come back as another tree. It is energy. If you eat the tree, it's going to be you. Then you're going to be the person you hate. The only freedom from hatred is love. So no matter how much you hate someone, realize that you love them more. Because that hate cannot exist without love being there to have created that hate. Love is pretty much the water. And what you're doing with hate is adding Kool-Aid to the water and then drinking the Kool-Aid yourself. The person you hate is getting the scent of the Kool-Aid you drank, which after a lot of Kool-Aid makes the person sick to their stomach. And once they're sick to their stomach, a Kool-Aid-liking entity shows up. So, hating someone does nothing other than create more hate. Loving someone does everything to create balance of good and evil, to where you get a neutral charge and you're out of the matrix. AKA called the rapture, ascension, evolution, spiritual awakening, enlightenment, moving higher frequencies and dimensions, unity consciousness, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12D. Because you're discharging the negativity from the lower realms and lower aspects of you to a higher level, and then from there you go to complete neutrality, and from complete neutrality you go to the pleromic realms. From the pleromic realms there are massive amounts of other planets and lives and existences and matrices to go to. You're literally at the bottom of the barrel here in the abyss and the underworld. So you don't even know what life is like out there. Some of you do. And if you do, don't share the secrets, because people must learn on their own. You can't give them that incentive of a bright, grand future fully. Because then they're not going to realize that the reason that how important it is that hatred be gone. Because hatred is like shitting in water and then flushing it away. It's not going anywhere other than poisoning your planet. And it's just going to come right back to you. Because then you're living on a poison planet with a bunch of sick people, and it's all because you've been a contributing factor to hatred. You have to think about things in a way that isn't human. You can't look at things in a mortal way anymore. You're not mortals. You never were. So I hope that you can find the courage within yourself to face your own demons that you have been feeding by facing the person that you don't like. It has to happen for you. It's the only way. The water must be filtered. It's like reverse osmosis filtering to get the fluoride out of your water. Love is the reverse osmosis filter. It flushes out the hate until there's only love left. And once there's love left, you have that sigh of relief, of knowing that all is well. And from all is well, you can make a clear, rational decision on where to go and what to do and how to be. Until then, you're functioning off pain and band-aids and refusing to look at the scars. And all scars can be healed, all venom can be made to medicine, and all love can be brought to hate, and all hate can be cleaned off to the love that it truly is. Because when you look at it from a neutral point of view, the reason you hate is because of disappointment. It's the only reason. No one hates anyone other than the disappointment of the person they hate acting less than themselves. And the only reason people act like less than themselves is due to polarity issues within the body. And if you have a root canal, regardless of if it is crowned or not, you have negative polarity within your body. So forgive the people that have hurt you and the people you have hurt, because it has only been electrical discharge from you. I truly feel love for you. I truly feel neutrality for you. Because I comprehend your pain, I comprehend your misery, and I comprehend your love. And truly, I hope for you that you can find it within yourself to call upon the energy of forgiveness, peace, and unity to allow you a better life for yourself without negative polarity in you, which contributes to hatred, fear, and malice. All because you're hurt. And the person that hurt you has the medicine to cure you. No matter if you've been with 1,000 people after one person hurt you, that person still hurt you and it's still within your system, and the only person that can make it better is the one that hurt you, because that's the person you're mad at. It's just that simple. It's like two little kids in the playground. One of them kicks the other one's shins, and that little kid that got their shin kicked in the playground is always going to remember that it got its shin kicked from this one person. I've remembered my entire life who I got my first kiss from. I was 7 years old. And I have a positive charge towards that person. I always remember who the first person was that yelled at me. Guess what I've done with that person? We became best friends for a very long time. Truly. And after lifetimes, we're still friends. I remember the first person that broke my heart. They became the most important person in my life for a very long time. Trust that the universe is more intelligent than you. Not more feeling, but more intelligent. And trust that you have been given the way to be healthier, wiser, kinder, and more authentic to who you are, due to the fact that you have gone from negative or overly positive to neutral, gain the clarity, and you get to move forward without illness, without hatred, and without blinding rose-colored glasses. You can do this. It's not easy. It's complex. And it's worth it. Be the reason there is one more connection in the world of peace today. I love you. Truly.